Well, hello everyone. Welcome to the O3 gang. I don't have Knox's camera set up in the thing, so let me fix that real fast.
Oh,
Whoops.
hello.
I don't know what happened there. This is a little scuffed. I'm not sure why his
It's a
camera
solo
isn't showing up.
podcast with Sandy.
Yeah, it's just me and Knox tonight. If you haven't gathered, welcome to the O3 gang, although it's looking a bit more like a solo gang
O2
because there's
gang,
no
yeah.
O2 gang because Knox is not here somehow, even though I definitely tested this like 5 minutes ago and it was working. So I'm not exactly sure where he went
They don't
to.
need to see me anyway. I don't have
Yeah,
1080
we don't need
HD.
to. We don't need to see. We don't need to see him at all. I don't know where you went. That's really strange to me. All right, so we'll just talk while I get this figured out. Uh, a blank Knox War is here. All right. All right. So, 03 week again. Not exactly sure what happened. You know, a bit of a kerfuffle altogether, and I felt like the Team Liquid game really exemplified a lot of the issues that we had been talking about in the last few weeks. And it was just a bit of a frustration to watch overall. I was even at a point where I was like, man, even if they win, I don't know if I'm going to feel good about it. You know, like, okay, they'll get a win, but I still feel kind of rough or whatever. So
I'll be honest. I would have taken the win and been so happy.
yeah,
with it
no,
at this
I
point.
get that. That's totally fair. I just was like, man, yeah, kind of rough. Okay, I fixed it.
Hey,
Yay, we're
I'm
back.
here. What's up, guys?
I had the window minimized. That was the issue. I needed to bring it back up. All right, Knox is back with us. All right, we're gonna unscuff this stream. Welcome to season 1, episode 16 of the Flight Check podcast. O3 gang, rise up. Where you at? It was a bit of a mess. Yeah, 10-game losing streak. Very much a feels bad man moment. I don't know what to say anymore at this point. I mean, Knox, give me your general impressions, because you were first of all on a bit of a mini vacation this weekend. So
Yes, I was.
So you have very fresh knowledge of these games because you just watched them. You just watched these VODs. So give me some takes. Like how did you feel about it all?
Just it's left me wondering why we're not having the academy team in, and I can't and we can talk about this all night long, and we probably honestly will at some point.
Yeah.
But we lost my camera again.
Oh, that's my problem. I need to stop clicking in Discord. While I can't read people's takes in the Flight Check Discord anymore because I'm running the stream. Boy, this is
I will do the take reading for you.
Excellent. Good.
We apologize, guys. We're definitely maybe sort of not new.
We're a little lost without Curly. That's what's going on, really. We need Curly back in our lives. Come on, you know.
Anyway, back on the topic of FlyQuest. Just watching this weekend has reaffirmed my stance on I need to see the academy team in at this point. Currently, like after watching the TL game specifically, the looks on our players' faces were just devastated. We looked like we had no motivation. We looked just tired and just kind of going through the motions. Mm-hmm. It was just I don't know what else to say. Just I need something to change, and I put it on Twitter, and it's not to my own horn here, but literally my most liked Twitter post, which is kind of depressing because it's me ragging on FlyQuest, but literally it was my most liked Twitter post about something needs to change. And so for me personally, I would like to see that be something along the lines of getting the Academy gang in there. If you want to have like a fusion of the main roster and the Academy gang, that's something that we could totally discuss and maybe we talk more about later tonight. But again, final statement on this is something that's got to change because the games this weekend outside of the 100 Thieves one and even then the back half of that, they just were not great.
Yeah, and I was going to bring this tweet up later, but I'm just going to bring it up now. And, you know, it's from Dom, I Will Dominate, who said, FlyQuest just look like they have no effing passion, man. Everything just seems so incredibly half-assed. Feels like they are just waiting for the season to be over. And it's like, that's a tough thing to hear, for sure. But I mean, man, if it doesn't ring true a little bit,
Yeah,
I
a
think
little bit.
I feel he's kind of right, and I hate to say it, like, because I don't want to. I mean, like, this is a fan, podcast. Like, we're not here to bash the team. This is not, we're definitely biased, right? We want the team to do well, but when, uh, when you play a game like that, versus Team Liquid, where it was uncoordinated. You had Crumbs actively calling us out on the broadcast for a lack of synergy and lack of coordination. It was just, yeah, it was just painful. Felt like everyone is a bit checked out. And once again, we are incredibly lucky that Counter Logic Gaming and Golden Guardians
Oh,
are
dude.
also horrifically bad teams. But in a weird way, I still feel like we're playing even worse than they are. Like, and I said this to you just like a few moments ago on, in our pre-show chat. But when I look at the way CLG and the way Golden Guardians get on the stage and the way they play, they are actively looking to win. They are not sitting down and going home. They're not just like there to go through the motions. And for me, that is a huge difference from when I'm watching the main FlyQuest roster right now. Those teams, they are hungry. They know that there is literally one playoff spot left. I mean, you can basically, lock in the top 7, from 100 Thieves all the way down to Immortals. I think it's pretty solid and secure. Those 7 teams will be in the playoffs. And it's literally down to us, CLG, and Golden Guardians for that 8th spot. Whoever's going to get likely clapped by, in the first losers round. But, you still want to make playoffs. It's still a good thing. And
you want to see the best of 5.
You want to see a best of 5. You want to see what your team can do. So, like, this is, like, for me, this is a bit of a call-out. Like, it's like, you're there. Like, we play CLG this upcoming weekend. Massive match. Huge implications. This is one of those must-win games, right? You have to win this to, put yourself in a better position over them. So, gotta win that CLG match. And, for better or for worse, we are still in it. And it sounds so strange to say that when we're sitting here at 9-24, riding a 10-game losing streak. But we are still in this playoff fight. And for me, it is incomprehensible as to why we are on stage acting like the season is a wash at this point. Now, I will say, I do think, I'm going to contradict myself, because I do think the season, at this point, is a bit of a wash. But you can still make playoffs. You can still fight. Go for it. Do something.
So, I was going to say, I had two episodes ago, I said, if we continue on the current path that we're on right now, we need to consider just calling the season a wash.
Mm-hmm.
We have now reached the point where, at least for the main team, this season is a wash.
Yeah.
It is a wash. I'm sorry.
Big agree.
GG it. Go next.
Yeah.
Now, that does not mean the org itself, and this is only because CLG has continued to crap the bed, and this is only because Golden Guardians is continuing to struggle.
Yeah.
But the org does not have to call the season a wash just yet.
No.
But the main roster needs to be done. So hopefully, again, I'm going to sound like a broken record tonight, but I've got to see the Academy boys in. I got to see something change.
No, I completely agree. And even, again, Crumbs on the broadcast said he was like, I was surprised to see the Academy, team not get subbed in. Like, people are actively wondering what is going on. Why are we sticking with this roster? These 5 guys who clearly are not on the same page. I think this was really... The TL game for me really exemplified a lot of the issues. You saw a lot of just... engages and attempts to fight that were not coordinated. The one that really comes to mind was one where we tried going in on tactical on our blue side jungle. So we were red side and it was blue side jungle. And we go in on him. He ults away, and then Armeo paranoia's
Nocturne ults in.
Yeah, he Nocturne ults in, and that just leads to utter disaster. I think we either we don't get tactical first of all, and we
especially not playing Xayah. It's a hard champion to gank.
Absolutely. There was another moment where Dreams tried to Nautilus hook tactical, who he's a good player. He's got the fast fingers. Who just ults the hook right on Xayah, dodges it, but the crazy thing to me about that play was there was nobody in the area. Even if Dreams had connected on that hook, there's no follow-up to do any damage. At that point, all he has to do is, Xayah ult again, after he gets hooked, and he'll get out scot-free. And there were other Team Liquid members in the way. So it's just uncoordinated engages, lack of synergy amongst the team, and passive play. That was a big thing for me this week.
Especially in the TL game, again.
Yeah, just again.
Well, even in the 100 Thieves game, because nothing really happened in the 100 Thieves game for the first, 13 minutes? And,
it was.
Hello?
I remember seeing in the 100 Talk Discord a lot of resident sleepers getting spammed, and a lot of Z's going through. It was, it was a slow game, and I am tired of watching us sit back and try to farm for 15 minutes while we get out macroed. TL completely out macroed us at multiple points on Sunday. And it was just frustrating to watch as a fan. You want the team to do well. You want them to succeed. But when they aren't, you really have to start asking, okay, what is the issue here? I
wanted to ask you.
Yeah, what's your... Yeah, go ahead.
Do you want to theory craft the reasonings behind why things are happening the way they're happening? Let's go into some theories. And this isn't for people listening, this isn't flaming. This is we're looking through logical pathways to find why this may or may not be happening. This isn't hot takes. This isn't going in and venting or anything. This is, okay, is there a possible logical reason why the team is playing this way?
Well, this is us saying we want the team to get better. How do you fix the team, right? Because clearly there is some issue. So, why don't you fire off with a couple ideas to start?
So, currently, right now, I'll keep it focused on the main team for now, and then I'll kind of delve into the academy situation as well. But for the time being, there I feel is something shot calling wise that kind of started off in the beginning of the season with Licorice not being able to recopy, or however you want to phrase it, what he had on Cloud9. So he couldn't do the shot calling. He didn't feel comfortable with it. He didn't feel like he was making the correct decisions. And over time, that started feeding into the rest of the team of just Licorice can't make these calls, therefore we're struggling, and the rest of the team's not being able to back him up on it, and it was just, there wasn't any in-game voice or leader, right? Yeah. Which is why you saw Dreams come in, who supposedly had a lot of voice in the Schalke and the Fur roster over in Europe, and as we've seen kind of over the course of summer, that really just kind of stabilized the quality of play from support because Diamond wasn't doing so well. So it was nice to see mechanical stability, but not the in-game leader voice that we needed, in which case, at that point, I think someone from the general management needed to step in and say, hey, we've got to pick you or whoever it may be to say, hey, you need to be the in-game leader and you need to just help push the team forward. Mm-hmm. And I kind of want to reference an article earlier today from... Who was it? I want to actually say his name. Nick Ray.
The upcomer.
Astra is here. Yes, the upcomer writer.
article?
So
Yeah.
Nick Ray at Asher is here on Twitter.
I'm gonna find this and link it in the Twitch chat for all of you.
Yeah, at Asher is here _. Really great article, and the reason I bring this up is because in it, Palafox is talking about the team that's currently active right now. And he states that right now we're so passive and we don't really have anyone who wants to just say go. And I think at some point, whether it be like a team psychologist, in which case, does FlyQuest have a team psychologist? Do you know?
I don't believe so. At least as far as I know, because I have a Twitter list of all the staff and org members, and I do not believe there is a sports psychologist on the team currently.
I really, really think this team right now could benefit from having a sports psychologist.
Which is almost ironic, you could say, considering we're the org that focuses on positivity,
good environment,
and
positivity, mental attitude,
good mental health, and all these things. Like, maybe we need a sports psychologist to kind of help us out with a few of those things.
So, honestly, if anyone listening at any point, feel free to message me on Twitter or in our Discord. But like, if we have a sports psychologist, let me know, because I don't think we have one right now. And I think the guys, at least the main roster guys, could really use one.
Yeah. No, I fully agree.
So to summarize all that, basically, is just it started with Licorice being designated as like the in-game leader because he was coming from Cloud9. He was the veteran. He was supposed to be the voice of the team.
Yeah.
Wasn't able to give it his all, or for whatever reason, and so the inability to lead and shot call spread throughout the team, and everyone's just trying to figure it out. And then there's not really back office staff or management or coaches that are able to designate an in-game leader / voice, and that's kind of where we are right now. And so I still stand by. I mean, if you go look at the very beginning of the year, we said this team, while not going to be amazing at the start, should have the quality to be able to rise to being a solid team. And I still stand by that. These players showed in past years that they're great. They can be great, but I don't think they're getting the support and tools that they need right now.
Well, and we always see in LCS, and even in LEC, Korea, China even, you see it's a consistent pattern that teams in the spring season struggle a little bit. Most teams struggle because they've got new teammates, it's a new meta, they're trying to figure out their synergies, they're trying to do whatever. But by summer, most teams have locked in to what they are doing, to what their game plan is, to how they're approaching the meta, what their strategies are, what their synergies are, and they have those figured out. And to me right now, it feels like the team has not arrived there yet, but the rest of the LCS has. And that is why things look so drastically different in comparison to some of the other teams. I mean, look at CLG and the way that they leaned into their bongo comp.
Their bongo comp?
For, a couple weeks. Now, it has not survived past those couple weeks because other teams figured out how to counter it, which, as they should. But they figured out something that was working for them, and they leaned into it. They figured out other strategies that work for them, and they're leaning into it. And it feels like we are not, we've just not leveled up at the same rate that everyone else has, and they've all just blown right by us. And that's really concerning, because that indicates one of two things for me. One, that the players are unable to learn, like they're just not able to soak in the knowledge, or they're not able to take in the concepts that they're seeing, learn from their mistakes, or it's a coaching issue and the coaches are not able to show them what to do, help them get better. For me, it's one of those two issues. I don't know if you have a different perspective on that.
I think, honestly, you nailed it on the head, although I think it's more option 2 than option 1.
Okay.
Because I don't think it's individual issues, right? There's no one that's like, don't get me wrong, Palafox this past weekend had some dumb mechanical moments, like backing in the mid lane, I think it was versus the EG match. that was kind of dumb, right? Like there's been occasional into moments where we kind of like the players themselves turn their brain off a little bit, but for the most part, I think we need like direction, and I don't think currently we're getting the direction that we need, right? So it's just it's just very frustrating.
It's frustrating to watch. I mean, the perspective I have when I sit down on my couch and watch these games, you know, on the weekend is, all right, getting ready to, you know, watch another L and laugh through the pain by tweeting the horse on the beach man.jpg meme that I've been tweeting from the account after every L for the last few weeks. You know, sometimes you gotta cope with the pain by laughing at it. But look, I mean, you know, I don't want that to be the status, you know? I don't want to be tweeting this meme every week, you know? It's frustrating. So Curly he's out, obviously, tonight, but he did have a quick thought that he left for us that I think is a good place for us to segue into. And so
I was going to say, can you read it or?
Yeah, I can read it.
Okay.
So he said, I personally think that Tomo and hang on, I'm going to try to do this in my best Curly impression. Let's see if I can do a Curly impression. I personally think that Tomo and Kumo should be given a second chance to shine in the LCS. As they've shown, they can make up for these factors. Kumo consistently holds his own on weak side, and Tomo has the confidence to make plays. I also believe Diamond would be able to work effectively if given another shot, especially since him and Tomo have obvious chemistry as a duo. All right, that was my Curly impression.
That was actually a pretty good Curly. I'm not gonna lie, it was solid.
Look, I mean, when you spend an hour and a half on video call with somebody every week, you get to know them. You get to know you get to know how they talk. You know.
But to Curly's point, though, I'm actually like, it was a really good Curly impression. I think Curly's actually
can somebody clip that for us real quick? That's
yeah, that'd be great. Yeah. I think Curly's pretty much nailed the hammer on the head, in my opinion. I agree. Kumo holds his own in top lane and even exerts a lot of pressure on the side lanes whenever I watch him play. Even the Golden Guardians match on. Yeah. LCS stage not last Sunday, the Sunday previous, right? Yep. He had a lot of good plays. And then Tomo obviously had the literal most damage per minute, granted on Ezreal, but we don't need to mention that. Details. For the first time ever on, like, as a first time showing, right? Yeah. That was the most the rookie's ever shown on LCS stage. It was great. And he was like 7-2 and he was doing work. I was like, okay, like we looked good. And then I already said this last week as well, that whoever Tomo wants to play with, let him play with, whether it be Dreams or Diamond. I think Diamond looked pretty solid with Tomo the one time. Granted, if at any point Diamond starts kind of having what he was doing in spring, bring in Dreams, and it's like I'm sitting here thinking all this in my head, but we also only have 12 games left, right? And so...
Well, so yeah, at the best we could possibly do is... you know, win the next 12 games, which, let's be honest, not likely to happen. Mainly because we have to play every single team at least one more time. So that means we are going to have another 100 Thieves game, going to have another TSM game, another Cloud9 game, another Team Liquid game. So you can almost count off 4 L's right there. And then the rest are a bit more winnable.
Yeah.
But, I mean... when it comes to playoffs, I'm going to pull up what, because, you know, we had this whole 8-team playoff bracket last year. So, now, obviously, the way the splits work this year is completely different, but you can still look at percentages. So, for reference, 100 Thieves and Dignitas last summer got into the 7th and 8th place playoff positions with a 39 and a 28% win rate, respectively. So Dignitas went 5-13 in summer, but still snuck out that 8th place spot. So 28%, we'll do some quick maths here on the show. 28% of 45 is about 12 and a half wins. So theoretically,
we're 3 games short.
So theoretically,
that's all I'm hearing right now.
The historical precedence for getting into playoffs is a 28% win rate. Right now, we are at a 20%. We are at 27% for the entire year. So theoretically, all we have to do is win 4 or 5 more games, and we should sneak into playoffs. Now,
and the other thing is, if we get that, we actually may be okay looking into playoffs if we get those 4 or 5 wins.
Exactly. Now, how do we get there? It is time to bring in the academy. This is my moment to kind of
bring it in, Sandy.
This is the solution. Bring in the same guys that you brought in last week. Kumo in the top lane, Jose in jungle, Palafox mid, Tomo Diamond in the bot lane. Please.
Yep.
They are...
Yep.
We cannot we cannot overestimate or I'm losing the right word here. We cannot overpraise, overhype the academy team enough. They are getting praise from other coaches on other teams. I believe Peter Dunn from Evil Geniuses had a tweet recently where he proclaimed them, one of the top academy teams. And you know what? Their record reflects that. The academy team right now is 14-6. Looking at the teams that they have dropped matches to, so I don't believe they've ever had an 0-2 series.
They have one.
They have one.
They have one against Cloud9.
And look, that is understandable. Cloud9 is a very good academy roster. But they have 2-0'd every other team, or 1-1'd. They are 14-6. Now, obviously, academy is a completely different beast to LCS. There's a big difference between playing someone like, Sword, or, Pretty, or Yunbi in the mid lane for Palafox versus a Jensen or a Perks, right? There's a really big difference for Kumo to be going up against Someday, Impact, Huni, who are some other big top laners? Alfari, if he's back in, versus somebody like, Thien or Niles or, Tony Top. Like, there's a really big difference in skill there, right? However, they have shown that they can excel, and I believe it is time to reward that. These guys, at this point, are your best shot at picking up wins. And that, at the end of the day, is what is the most important thing in this league. Get the wins. The main roster is not doing it right now. They are uncoordinated. They do not have the synergies necessary to succeed in the LCS. And they are just going to continue losing in these fashions, in these, unacceptable fashions, unless something drastic is done.
Mm-hmm.
10 losses in a row. That is
That's not acceptable.
That is 3 0-3 weeks in a row. Like, that is not acceptable as an organization. You cannot look at that and say, they'll get it figured out. They'll get it figured out. We'll work on it. We'll come back. And I love this org. I love what this org stands for. I'm all about the charities that we have donated to. I'm all about MeQuest and the positive mental attitude and mental health initiatives that we have taken. Sometimes it does drive me a little nuts when the organization cannot, has this attitude towards these things and does not publicly talk enough about, like, yeah, this is frustrating or this is unacceptable. I would like to see some kind of maybe accountability from leadership saying, like, look, this is rough. We get it. We're sorry, fans. We're going to try and fix this.
So we got it a little bit from Nick on that Reddit post last week, which, not to bring up that guy, because that guy actually apologized to me, so I'm not going to roast him anymore.
I think he said I think he said he was drunk when he made that post.
He was drunk when he made
so
that
we are
post.
going to forgive him. We're going to forgive him, and also, this is a public apology from the podcast for roasting this guy so incessantly. We are sorry. I hope you're watching tonight, or you see this VOD. We should not have gone in as hard on you as we did. It was just an easy target. In the future, folks, we will not publicly call out. Well, maybe we will. We'll see.
Well, depending on how bad it is.
It depends on how drunk of a post you make. So, we'll see.
But to bring it back to Nick, though, I mean, we did see Nick reply to that post, though.
Yeah.
And you saw him, like, he put his heart into those words. He was just like, man, like, I get it. Fans are, like, upset. They're frustrated. We are, too. We are actually doing everything that we can that's possible to figure out why we're playing the way we are, why we're struggling so much. And, like, it was like, okay. I mean, for once, it's nice to see an actual staff member outside of a player in low form interviews state, hey, we know.
Well,
we're sorry, but
the only players that we have really seen make any kind of public comment on Twitter are Palafox and Jose. And
you see Licorice in, like, interviews occasionally, but they're not, like, big brand name, like, outside of Travis back in spring. Like, I haven't really seen Licorice do any as well. I just no words from Diamond or Dreams or Johnson for that matter.
Yeah, and TMB in the chat, he actually said kind of what I was thinking. It shouldn't take a flame post to have Nick come out and talk to the fans, and then he makes a comparison to Papa Smithy of 100 Thieves. Papa Smithy tweets after every win or loss. He's in the Discord. He's on the sub. We're not asking the org to, put in, the same levels of effort or copy or do the exact same thing. But it would be nice to have a little bit more communication from the org. I mean, I don't know if you saw the Bear Cups stream that Trisha and Voyboy did on Saturday night.
I did not. I was out on a lake kayaking in Austin. It was great.
Wow. All right. Hard flex. Okay. That sounds fantastic. So long story short, there was somebody in the tournament. I believe he's in the FlyQuest Discord. He's changed his nickname to FlyQuest, and then it's like line emote specialist. But he now has the actual summoner name of FlyQuest. And he went up against the guy who eventually won the whole tournament. And Trisha was kind of joking about, like, oh no, I really hope FlyQuest isn't about to take a second L today. And, like, that's kind of funny. That's kind of funny, right? It's legitimately funny. Unfortunately, he did end up losing, so FlyQuest did take 2 Ls that day. But when I heard that, I was also like, oh, yikes. Okay, we're kind of like laughing away the
pain, just like you and me every week.
Yeah, and it's like, we're fans. We can laugh away the pain. It's like, at the end of the day, FlyQuest loses. I'm like, man, that's really frustrating. I make a tweet about it, and then I move on, with my day. I've got other things to take care of. I'm not part of the team. I'm not emotionally, crushed by it. But I want to see a little bit more communication from the org, especially when there is as much of a struggle as there is right now. And this goes back to other things that we've talked about. Things like when we did bring in the Academy guys a couple weeks ago, we didn't find out about this officially until an hour before game time. Now, there had been like a bit of a hint from the Academy coach in an interview after
Fantix.
Fantix, after one of the Academy games, that this might happen, but there was no communication about it until an hour before game time. And like the org doesn't owe us these things, but it's like, can we get a little bit more of communication?
Just a little something, just please. It would be nice.
A crumb of communication for us. So that is my whole take on some of the issues.
So I will say, to segue this a little bit, this isn't via the FlyQuest org itself, but to shout out Tim from Oracle's Elixir and his podcast.
Yes.
Nick and Kanani, the head coach for FlyQuest currently, will both be on that podcast this Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Yes.
So it'll be one of the biggest, this is crazy that I'm saying this, it'll be one of the biggest interviews that we've had for this org literally all year.
No, fully agreed. I don't think you're you're not understanding that at all. I completely agree. I wish unfortunately I'm going to have to watch the VOD of that later. I won't be able to watch it live, but yeah. I mean, that's a huge interview for us as fans, because it's like, this is going to be huge communication.
Which is kind of frustrating, because it's like, why am I having to, don't get me wrong, I love Tim, he does great, but like, why am I having to go to a third-party podcast to get info on the team?
Yeah.
So I guess in the future, not that I think any FlyQuest staff members are currently watching, but if anyone wants to mention it to possible FlyQuest members, like, I would absolutely love if you could tell the FlyQuest staff that, hey, we would love to have more content around the actual team itself. It doesn't have to be 100 Thieves, like a heist, or it doesn't have to be like TSM Legends or anything like that. But like, I would love to just see a little something on how the team is doing week to week. Because right now we have the content stuff on like, oh, hey, little games and whatnot, like Mundo Dodgeball, or having Jose Dioto do Spanish lessons with the team.
Yeah.
I just, like, and that's cool and all. I love seeing that stuff, but I want to see how the team is actually doing. That's what I want to see.
The content, yeah, I'm really enjoying the content. We love Tricky here on the Flight Check podcast. Great guy. He does a really good job with the content for the team. But, I saw... like, one thing that I saw from another team, from Immortals, they got a really quick reaction video from their coach, Giotto. I probably said that wrong, which is ridiculous, because I am also Portuguese, and I should be able to pronounce that right.
Come on,
I think it's
take on your nationality, Sandy.
I'm going to say it wrong. Here we go. It's like Giotto or something like that. There's like some weird syllable that's in there that I've heard him say before, and I can't replicate it right now. But they put out, like, I don't know how long it was, like maybe a minute or so, of him just kind of reacting to, I think, a loss that they had taken over the weekend. And it's like, wow, that is, a totally different level of accountability to the fans, where it's like, talking about what went wrong or what the mentality was going into the game, those kinds of things. And, especially for, like, bringing in the Academy guys, it's like, okay, you're bringing them in. Why are you bringing them in? Are you bringing them in because you think they can get you more wins, or because you're rewarding them for good Academy performance?
Or even because we all wanted the FlyQuest Academy boys to come this past weekend, right?
Yes.
Like, shoot, you put out a content piece saying, man, the boys feel actually confident in this week for whatever reason. It's like, all right, we'll give you guys one more chance. I'd buy that. I would be like, all right, you know what? If you were really that confident, granted, like, the faces of the players after the Team Liquid game would quickly dispute that. But, like, if you showed me a content piece the week before we went live in the games and had the players saying, yeah, no, we're ready for this week, we feel confident, we feel good, I'd be like, all right, let's see it. Like, and I'd actually be okay. But right now I'm like, where are the boys? Where are my Academy boys?
Yeah. I think Yeah, just to go back to what you said about, sports psychologists, I feel like there's just a bit of a mental boom, going on for the main team. And the Academy roster, they're full of confidence. They're turbo smurfing over there. And I think they really deserve to come in and, try and scratch out some wins. I would say, get those wins and let them, keep it all the way into even playoffs at this point. Because clearly, whatever we have been trying on the main roster is
It's not
working. We need to shake it up. Yep.
So.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, there's that. Now that we've magically fixed all of FlyQuest's problems, please, if you've got any hot takes in the chat that you want to discuss, feel free to.
I feel TMB boiling up right now.
We know TMB is about to unleash the fury of 1,000 hot suns.
He's about to copy paste that wall he put in our Discord earlier.
If you all are not in our Flight Check Discord, TMB earlier posted an absolute wall of text. Curly, Hunter Talkpod in the chat asking, "Where's Curly?" Don't worry, he's fine. He is working. The restaurant scene has taken over. But don't worry, hey, Hunter Talk, if you guys go live while we're still on, we'll hit you with that sweet raid. That's a Flight Check promise from us to you.
Oh, actually, Bryce. I thought his house burned down from the hot takes.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's certainly possible. Yeah, I'm looking. It doesn't look like he had any super hot takes in. Yeah, he actually didn't. I know what his picks are for the weekend, but I don't know why he made those picks. We can probably make our best estimate. Do you want to move on to previewing the next week, or was there anything else you wanted to hit on before we do so?
We can hit TMB. He got his take in real quick, in which case TMB says, "The only thing I will say is that I am done with Johnson as an LCS AD carry. I know he has potential, but the amount of effort he's giving us in game and out of game leaves me with no other opinion that he needs to be on a different team." Which, I mean, so part of me feels like Johnson has definitely not been a standout player. He does not look as good as he did on Dignitas with Aphromoo. We can say that. Everyone knows that, right?
Right. Yeah.
I will say, however, I don't think he's been abysmal. And I say that, again, knowing that I used that exact term for Licorice like 3 weeks ago. And here's the reason why, okay?
Yeah.
He has not been given resources to carry the game. And the points that I'll make, and the evidence I'll show to you, or tell you to go look at, rather, because I'm not going to, hey, here you go, is go look at a lot of Jose Dioto's pathing in the games and look at how Palafox tends to roam, right?
Right.
Don't get me wrong, there's instances where the roams and the jungle pathing has brought them to the bot lane and they've tried to make it play there, but a majority of the time, Jose Dioto has been recently pathing towards top lane and focusing on getting Licorice ahead and making sure Palafox has movement abilities to roam topside, right? That has been FlyQuest kind of tend to go-to strategy. Not all the time, obviously, but that's been kind of their bread and butter for the most part, and it's just not been working. So, God help me if this happens, but if they keep the main roster for this next weekend... If they keep the roster for the next weekend, I would actually like to see it be made a point to have Jose Dioto see if he can try and focus bot lane just to switch things up. Because currently we're playing, Finn as a top laner, we're playing Fudge as a top laner, and we're playing... Who's the third team? CLG,
Immortals, right?
Immortals, and Revenge. Immortals, I think, would be a good time to go push bot lane, because I think Raze and Destiny are punishable.
Yeah.
Cloud9's just going to be a crap fest, honestly. I just try and survive that one, boys.
It's going to be a time.
Yeah, and then CLG, as much as I love Turtle and as much as I love Smoothie, I think Finn's a more solid threat than the bot lane currently of CLG.
Mm-hmm.
So I would actually like to see them, Jose, try and push the bot lane and punish them. And so, I don't know, if for whatever reason we keep the same roster, that's what I would like to see.
Yeah.
So hopefully that happens. That's what happens.
There were a couple responses that I wanted to read here. Ricebox said Johnson hasn't really been a liability, but he's definitely been a non-factor. And this is actually the take that is the statement that I would agree with right now when it comes to Johnson, is that when I think about FlyQuest as a team, when I think about how we've succeeded, Johnson does not come to mind. I think about Jose, and I think about Palafox leading the team and making moves. I don't see the bot lane as a side that we have really played through or leaned on to carry us to victory. So I would agree that Johnson has been a bit of a non-factor, and it's a bit of a lack of Afro Moo diff, I think, for Johnson. I think Afro Moo on Dignitas made Johnson look much better than he has turned out to be for us. Because I don't recall. I'm gonna look up right now what Johnson's history was prior to Dignitas, because I don't believe he had a ton. He was on TSM Academy for a year, and he. I'm looking at exactly. Yeah, well, TSM Academy, he joined as a trainee first, and then he moved to substitute for the Summer Academy season, and then he joined Dig as their, main bot laner. So he, this is his second team. I'm wondering if maybe he needs a little bit more time growing. Maybe we jumped on the Johnson hype train, got baited in by the Afromoo diff a little bit there.
See, it's one of those things, though, of just like, we already knew this was going to be a bit of a development team, right? That's what we said at the very beginning of the year. We're bringing in Palafox from Academy. We're bringing Diamond from Academy. We already knew. I mean, Johnson looked good, but he was still fresh, right?
Right.
And so, really, the only veterans on the team were Jose Deyoto from a minor region league that we imported, and Licorice.
Yeah.
And so, I was kind of under the impression, I was like, I'm sure there's going to be some growing pains, but man, he's just not been all that great.
Yeah, it's been a bit rough. All right, so I'm looking at some other.
See, I'm trying to look at stats while I'm also talking at the same time. Balancing this stuff is hard. Where's Curly when you need him?
I know, exactly. This is why we need a third person, so that one person can talk while the two other people look up stats.
Looking up
stats to back up our opinions. You can't spew facts without having the stats to back it up. 100 Talk said Johnson looked super promising a year ago. I mean, I think it was Afromoo. I really do.
So yeah, I'm looking at Rice right now. I remember Johnson's second COG game. Everyone on Reddit was trashing him on the COG Lulu. I don't know. The Reddit community was kind of dumb on that one. I think the COG Lulu is fine. I think it was just because that game was into 100 Thieves, if I remember correctly, and they just absolutely counterpicked us.
Yeah. And then TMB. My other take is Licorice needs to spend the rest of this split in Academy, and the org needs to help him work through what he's going through. So I'm not going to make any comment on players' mental health because it's not our place. And we only know a little bit, based off of one interview that he did with Travis Gafford earlier in the split. So I don't want to assume anything in that regards. I want to be careful about people's mental health. It's a very personal issue. We've seen other players this year with their either physical or mental health, ask for privacy, so I want to respect that. In terms of him spending the rest of the split in academy, yeah, I mean, that just kind of goes in line with what I was saying earlier about bringing in the academy team, bringing in Kumo to just kind of run top lane for the rest of the year. Sir Dargor said in regards to Licorice, he looked fine in spring, but it seems he got progressively worse as time went on. Maybe it's the situation of the team struggling. I would say to that, he looked fine in spring. Kind of going back to what I said earlier is that I think everyone else caught up or just passed us in terms of synergy and in terms of synergy and just skill with team cohesion. And I think that's why he has looked rough.
Yeah,
the takes are coming. This is actually great when there's a lot of people in chat having things to say. There's a lot of stuff to talk about.
I think 100 Talk Pod just nails it on the head, though. Like, to summarize it all, it just there's no glaring obvious issue. It's not, I can't point like, hey, this player is the reason we're sucking right now, right? Like, we're all sucking.
Right.
In which case,
it's not four people are good and then Johnson is just running it down every game. It's like,
or Bjergsen and 4 wards in the opposite direction, right?
Yeah, exactly,
it's something, because I think
Bjergsen 4 wards.
Like, I mean, so like let's go down the list, right? Licorice currently, I mean, supposedly having mental issues, which I mean is what it is. On top of the fact that I think honestly, Licorice just thrives as a player where he doesn't need to make the calls. He just needs to focus on what he needs to do. In which case, this team is not supplying that for him, right?
Yeah.
You go look at Jose Diodo. I don't know much about the history as of the Rainbow Seven team exactly and who did what exactly on that team. Based off of what I saw, though, it was a very side lane driven team. The top and bot sides like to really play for themselves, and Alone, which is funny, like to play alone in the middle. He didn't really require Jose Diodo's assistance that much outside of maybe providing ward vision every now and then. And so coming into the FlyQuest team, I think Jose came in and it's like, okay, my side lanes aren't really doing anything, and I'm having to rely on a mid laner who's actually having to do all the stuff, and he hasn't really played with that much, so maybe the mid jungle synergy is not as good, which shows in the lack of roaming down, perhaps. And Jose's kind of fallen back on like, well, let me focus on the top side because that's what he used to do and that's what he succeeded with. Again, these are all theories. Palafox, on the other hand, I mean, if you read in the article, the man's overcome a lot of adversity from the Optic Gaming Academy team on Golden Guardians, you name it. But I think, honestly, he's still just young. I think he's been our best player on the team. I think he looks solid. I think he's still just learning. Mm-hmm. I don't have really that many issues with Palafox. I know he had a kind of a bad-ish weekend this weekend, but I mean, I think every now and then you have bad weekends, especially when the team atmosphere is what it is.
Faker has bad weekends. Perks
yeah, exactly.
Weekends. People have bad games. I am the number one Palafox apologist. I will defend that man to the. I truly think he's been our best performing player this season, for sure.
And then we get to Johnson, in which case I think the man came in, had a great year, had Afromu to be his veteran support and tell him what to do. And then you have Diamond come in, who unfortunately does not have LCS experience, and this kind of ties in with each other. So no one could really truly lead each other. And then so you bring in Dreams, who hasn't been practicing with that team that much. And while apparently is a solid support, isn't as much of a leader as I guess we expected him to be. Maybe that's on us for thinking he was. I don't know if that was like information I did not take properly or that was not distributed properly. I don't truly know. But at the end of the day, I think all of these players at one point in time have shown that they are good. And so I think it's just something, again, if you want to point, you got to just point at the org itself.
Yeah, I think sometimes you put together 5 players and they just don't work. And I kind of feel like that's just what happened this year, is we put together 5 players and it did not work. So I think, and we, obviously we'll get into this. I'm sure once off season hits and the rumors start flying around, and we're sitting on Twitter F5ing until our fingers fall off, waiting for any information from Jacob Wolf or Bloop, as to who's going to what teams. But yeah, I mean, sometimes you put together 5 players and the synergies just do not work out. I mean, how many times have we looked at other rosters that we have thought, wow, that's actually gonna, that'll be a top half of the league team, and then it just, I mean, you could argue even the CLG roster. It's 5 veterans who have all succeeded, on other teams.
I'm gonna lie, CLG is even worse than us. Straight up.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I mean,
you have a roster like that.
You have a roster like that. You
tied.
should not be tied with this FlyQuest roster. Definitely. I mean, you've got Finn, who was at Worlds last year on Rogue. Broxa, who was on Worlds last year on TL. Pobelter, who has won multiple LCS titles and has been to Worlds himself. Wild Turtle was on FlyQuest and went to Worlds last year. And Smoothie, who has... I don't think he's won anything, but he's been on some high-profile teams before. So it's just, sometimes you put a team together and it just does not work out. So that is what we are faced with. But you know what? We have more games to rectify the situation, to redeem the season, and hopefully we do it with the Academy team. So maybe we'll get into our picks for next week. How does that sound?
Yep, let's do it. If you want to bring up the...
Yeah, I will transition the scene. Boom. All right, folks. So you can now see how the tables lie. I have fallen behind Noxwar by 2 points. He is clearly ahead of all of us, and that's good for him, man. That must be nice. How does it feel?
Pretty good. Although I will say Curly was a little salty because if we're being honest, last week I did predict FlyQuest to beat EG on the stream, and then right before I left for vacation, I swapped my pick and went for the O3 instead. And as much as it hurts, it did pay off. So you can put backstabbing Noxwar in the chat for anyone who's upset with me. But you know what? Got the sweet pick'ems win on that one.
Yeah, hey, there you go. And so now you're 2 ahead of me and 4 ahead of Curly. So this week, Friday, we play Cloud9. Saturday, up against Counter Logic Gaming. And we wrap up the weekend taking on Immortals. So here's the thing. I know I have an O3 again listed here, and there's a reason for that. But legitimately, both the Counter Logic Gaming match and the Immortals match are winnable games for us, in my opinion. So for any audio listeners out there, I have an 0-3 week for us. Curly and Nox have the exact same picks. They have us losing to Cloud9, beating CLG, and then losing to Immortals. So back to the 1-2 curse, which admittedly, I would rather take that curse over the 0-3 curse that we have been suffering for the last few weeks.
So I was going to say, granted, officially this is my picks.
Yeah.
If we put the main roster in, though, I said this in our chat. Like, yes. There are receipts. If you want screenshotted,
we can put the screenshots out there.
If we put the main roster in, though, we're going 0-3. I truly believe that. Which means I believe, God help us, the FlyQuest org should be putting in some Academy players this weekend. If they don't, well, we can talk about that later.
Yeah. If they don't, there's a whole nother discussion to have about the blind leading the blind, and or just hurtling recklessly into the void. Okay, I'm gonna bring it back to our beautiful shining faces. Now that we've got those taken care of, so let's just go down the list here, starting with the Cloud9 game. Any Any thoughts on that, or is it just a straight L?
Currently, I think I mentioned this probably way back in the first split, or like right at the end of the first split. The FlyQuest organization is currently 6-22 versus Cloud9 since the inception of the organization. So I don't really have a lot of faith currently that we're going to put that 6 to a 7.
That does not spark joy, if I'm being honest. That does not spark joy.
I think it's a pretty safe bet to say Cloud9's probably going to take that one. And that's not even considering how our teams look right now. Just off the record alone, we do not have a good record against Cloud9.
Reasonable.
So I don't think there's much more to say there outside of I hope if the Academy boys are in, maybe we try and punish Blabber in some form with Jose Dioto and Kumo going into the jungles and invading. Yeah. But that's really, like, I just want to see proactivity from the Academy boys if they're in.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Sounds like an L to me. Man, I long for the day when we can, like, come on the show and predict that 3-0. Man, I just... someday we'll get back to it.
Yeah, maybe one day we'll get a week where it's CLG, Golden Guardians, and Immortals all in the same week, and it's like maybe it could happen.
Maybe it could happen. If the planets align on the 4th day of the month. All right. So moving on to CLG. Speaking of which, so I had the L here. Wait. Bryce says that's literally. Is it literally week 9? Could we 3-0 in week 9? That would be incredible. All right, well, we apologize for not knowing the schedule as well as we could. Nox is now confirming. Do we actually have CLG, Golden Guardians, Immortals in week 9? That's insane. What an ending for us.
I'm scrolling. So
imagine
CLG on the last day.
Imagine a
Immortals.
Scenario where...
Holy crap, he wasn't kidding.
He's not kidding.
Friday's Golden Guardians, into Immortals on Saturday, into CLG on Sunday, week 9. Oh
that's
my
perfect.
God.
Imagine the scenario.
There's hope.
Imagine the scenario where we have to play CLG for the final playoff spot on the final day of the season. You know what? All right, so 100 Talk has Prophet Cole. Right? Here comes Prophet Sandy. We will play CLG on the final day of the season. We know this to be true. And it will be for that final playoff spot. We'll be like tied or something going into the final day, and that game will literally decide the final playoff spot. You heard it here first. Clip it and ship it. Who will win? FlyQuest, obviously, because we'll have put in our Academy team by then, and they'll just run over all those veteran boys over there.
What would be amazing with that is it is also the literal last regular season match of 2021.
Yeah.
It is game 5 of that day on Sunday. So I don't know how much more.
How scripted can you get? I mean, that is the LCS script writers. So, Drek, if you're just tuning in now, I just predicted, since we play CLG in our final game of the season, Prophet Sandy predicted that match will determine the final playoff spot, in the LCS Summer Championship. That is my prediction at this point in time, and we'll see in approximately 4 weeks if that comes true.
So we're skipping a bit ahead by 4 weeks, so we should continue with our predictions for this week.
Yeah. All right, so we're on the CLG game. So I said an L here again, but you said a dub. Now I think I was approaching it with the idea that the main roster is still in. Because until I'm told otherwise, that's what I've got, to go off of, is that the main roster is in. And, it's Monday. It's Monday, July 5th. If trends hold, we wouldn't find out if the Academy team was playing until Friday the 9th at, 4 in the afternoon.
4 p.m.
4 p.m. in the afternoon. But if the Academy team comes in to play CLG and Immortals, I'm a bit more optimistic about those games at that point. And I would even go so far as to say, if it's the Academy team in, I would maybe predict a win versus CLG and Immortals. I would go so far as to say
join the dark side.
I would go so far as to go for the 2-1 if it's the Academy team in. If it's the main roster in, it's an 0-3. It's an L to CLG. So why? Give me your reasoning on beating CLG.
Like I said earlier, I know Ricebox was kind of contesting me on that, and he may be right. I don't watch CLG games that closely, but I thought Finn was doing pretty solid in the top lane, in which case I think Kumo is probably honestly better than him currently.
Yeah.
And then I think the bot lane of Tomo and Dreams or Tomo and Diamond, whoever it may be, is more than a solid match for Wild Turtle and Smoothie. And then along with that, Palafox can match oh my god, POV, Mr. 200 man IQ himself. And then Broxa has just been playing solid as well, but I think Jose Diodo can match him as well. Like, it's pretty even matchup right there.
For sure.
So, I think really, because a lot of CLG issues are also kind of what I feel like are ours as well. They just don't seem to get it together, even though they have more synergistic moments. I think if we have the Academy team in, our synergy and our individual play level is better than CLG's, and I think we can take that match. So, and again, that's with the stipulation that the Academy boys are in. Yeah. I actually think if the Academy boys are not in, and we have the main roster in, I think the motivation right now and the discipline that we have showing is just not there, and CLG is going to take the first game against us this whole year.
Hang on, I'm going to check the receipts on that one. I thought, have we beaten them in every...
We have beaten them every time so far. We are currently 3-0.
Wow, that's...
It is the only team that we are lossless against.
Huh. What do you know? That's a cool stat. CLG officially worse than FlyQuest. Oh, hang on. That means we have the tiebreaker no matter what, right?
So, I actually don't know the rules on that. If anyone in chat actually knows, is tiebreaker considered the whole year, or is it only considered summer splits? Because I know the overall records are considered for the whole year, but tiebreaker-wise, is it only considering the back 3 games of summer?
Hang on,
like pulled up. I would like to know that.
I have pulled up the rule book. I am consulting the PDF on lol.fandom.com.
Drex says he would assume it's the full year, so that's boding well for us because that means we have an automatic tiebreaker over CLG.
Yeah, that would be real. Oh, so maybe we aren't playing them for the... Oh, no, we could still play them for the final playoff spot because we would have to be like 1 game behind them and need to win to tie them and then get the tiebreaker. That would have to be...
So... Either way, we are still sitting at an advantage over CLG, which is really good, no matter what happens. Granted, don't get me wrong, these CLG games coming up are very, very important. They need to be wins in order for us to have a chance of making the playoff spot.
Absolutely. Completely agree. I am trying to find...
this has been a fun...
Regular season tiebreakers. This section each shall apply to... All right, I wish I had known this ahead of time. All right, Nox, talk to me about
You know what? I'll go.
Give me the Immortals game. Give me the Immortals game. Give me your breakdown on that while I look this up.
Okay, so once again, while Sandy's searching for an answer on that, the Immortals game. Once again, if the Academy boys are in, I'm predicting this one to be an Immortals win still. I think they're still a solid team. I think they still got their stuff together. However, that's a more 50-50 match, though. So I would be not surprised if the Academy boys are playing that we can win that. Again, once again, main roster, if they're in. We're currently 0-3 against that Immortals team with the main roster. Xerxes is playing decently right now. Insanity's playing well. Revenge is playing okay. The bot lane, I think, is punishable right now, in which case our bot lane with the main roster is not really putting up a fight. So I would like to see Tomo in there because I think Tomo and whoever he wants can actually punish that bot lane. So hopefully Academy's in. I think that's an actually winnable game. If main roster's in, I don't think it's happening. So do you still need more time, Sandy, or?
I can't. I don't see anything specifically discussing if it takes into account the entire season. But I think for what it's worth, you would have to take into account the entire season because we have, we've translated the records from spring into summer, and everything still holds. So I do believe we would hold, in that case, the tiebreaker advantage over Counter Logic Gaming right now. So still a chance for us to have to beat them in order to get a tie to win the tiebreaker. So the prophecy is still out there.
It could happen.
If
the
not,
hopium, I'm huffing it.
Yeah, I'm huffing the hopium for my prophecy now. So we'll see. Yeah. So in terms of the Immortals game, I think our best bet would be, and again, this, I'm really hoping that it's with the Academy team in, because for me, I'd like to see us play through top lane or mid lane there. I'd like to see, I think Palafox really matches up very well, perhaps even better than Insanity, and I think that'd be a really great place for him to show off. And put the team on his back and get the win through that avenue. So I think that is a winnable game. I just do not have the confidence right now in the Academy, in the main roster to do it for us. So that is my stance on that issue. And unfortunately, we don't have Curly here to give us his opinion on why, but I would say he would probably give us some kind of talk about how important it is to win through top lane.
Is Curly 2.0 coming in?
No, I was just going to say, he would probably be like, say something about how he wants Kumo in there, and for us to play through Kumo, because he's been popping off in Academy, and, he wants us to play through top lane. So there's that. SMG Fudar says in the chat, I'd say at least take a week to bench the entire main roster. Bring up the full Academy roster just to see what happens while the main roster works out some of their issues. Hey, maybe they need to go down to Academy and pub stomp some kids and get some confidence back.
Honestly, that's been a strategy before at Worlds for some of the North American teams. I want to say it was who was it? I want to say it was Clutch Gaming. They were at Worlds and they were scrimming like the top Korean and Chinese teams, and they were getting like absolutely slaughtered. And so they took like a 2-day break to scrimmage against some of the minor region teams, and they were like taking really solid games off of them, like just like bam, like 20-minute wins. And I remember the coaches at the time were like, like the guys feel a lot better. And so when we went back to scrims, like the day after those scrims, like the guys were playing well and taking games off the Korean and Chinese teams again. So maybe sometimes you just need to take a week off and say, all right, we're going to go beat these little kitties over here, and then we'll come back and we'll feel better.
No, I fully agree. I think that's a legitimate, psychological strategy, is to do something, for lack of a better term, that's easier, and build up your confidence in that way. Because I do wonder at this point if it's a bit of a confidence issue. I think there is a large mental aspect to the issues at this point, in addition to some of the gameplay issues. What else is there to talk about?
I was going to ask, so the way I look at it is we can go over what we think the main roster should be going into this week, or we can go into talking about the Academy boys, because we're getting crunched on time. So which would you rather cover?
Why don't you name me your optimal starting 5 super fast, and then we'll hit Academy.
Kumo, top lane. Jose Dioto still in the jungle, and XI needs more time in academy. Isn't quite there yet. Looking good though. Has great improvement. Still want to see Palafox, although I mean I could see a world where we sub triple in. Triple's been solid in academy as well. Then I want to see Tomo in, and then I honestly am indifferent on the support. Could be Dreams or could be Diamond, whichever Tomo would like to play with.
Yep, I'm in complete agreement. Although I think I would prefer to see Diamond at this point, just because Tomo has been in the recent history
Practicing with him.
practicing
Yep,
with
absolutely.
Diamond. So I think we're in agreement there. So Kumo, Jose, Pala, Tomo, Diamond is our optimal starting 5 for this weekend. And if that's the case, I would hope for a 2-1 or at least a 1-2, anything other than an 0-3. But let's hype up these Academy boys because
boys,
they deserve some high praise, and we'll close out the show with this. Last and certainly not least, in fact, they are in second place, the literal opposite, the inverse of the 9th place that the main roster is currently in. Another solid week for them. A 2-0 over Evil Geniuses Academy.
First time this year, by the way, that we've 2-0'd them.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And then a 1-1 split with Immortals Academy. I did not get to watch any of their games, unfortunately. That's on me. I will do my best to catch their games this week. Knox, I believe you did. What were some of the things you saw? Because we're hyping these boys up. We want them to come up to the main roster, but why? We need some reasons as to why they should actually be up there. What do you got?
The main reasons I'm going to tell you right now is not in terms of individual gameplay. Don't get me wrong, the boys are solid mechanically, but they're not up to snuff with some of the LCS's best. They're not going to be running the league against Avidage or Perks or any of those mid laners, or just as in general, mechanically prowess people. But they can hold their ground, right? The reason you want to bring these guys in is you go watch their games in Academy. They pull the enemy team around the map all the time. If you go look at the one loss that we had this week against Immortals Academy, we had a higher turret count than Immortals Academy for probably a majority of the game up until finally Immortals took the fight, right? Immortals were constantly winning fights that game. We couldn't win the 5v5s, but we were winning the map pressure so hard. And so stuff like that is the reason why I want to see the Academy boys brought up, because right now the macro and the understanding of how the map needs to work is far better than what the current main roster is showing. Let me emphasize, it is not the mechanical prowess of the players that we want to bring them up. It's because they understand how to play the Rift.
No, that was fantastic. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I mean, I would fully agree. I mean, the one, the game that we got to see them play, when we had Kumo, Tomo, and Diamond in LCS, it was such a personality shift. They were aggressive, they were proactive, they were making plays, and that game was against Golden Guardians, so you got to take it with a bit of a grain of salt. But they looked hungry. They looked competitive. They wanted to fight. They wanted to go after these moments to gain advantages. They weren't sitting back passively. So they know their win conditions. They know their objectives, and that is such a great thing to see from those 5 players. That they are a united front. That they are cohesive. And that they are able to execute those macro strategies on a level that is far beyond many of the Academy teams that we are seeing. I'm really looking forward to Proving Grounds again. It was a really great tournament in spring. I think we can. Just the way we've been playing, I think we've certainly improved. And this goes back to kind of like what I was saying with the LCS. How the LCS operates, where teams they level up over the year, and I really feel like the Academy team has significantly leveled up from spring into summer. I'm excited to see where they go. I definitely would say, I mean, they're in second place by standings. I would definitely put them, as a top 4 Academy/amateur team right now. I really see them going far in Proving Grounds when that comes out. I know we've got a few weeks, maybe a couple months actually, before that kicks off. But that's going to be a super hype tournament. Really great opportunity for those boys to shine. And I'm really, I mean, honestly, I'll reveal my hand here. I'm a little more excited for their matches right now than I am to watch the main roster. I'm sorry to say it, but it's kind of true. Or it's just like it's a little rough to watch the main roster right now. I want to watch some wins. I want to watch us win, and if the Academy team is winning, then I can be found in the twitch.tv/Academy stream, or the Nerd Street Gamer stream. I think that's the other one that
Yeah, it's Nerd Street.
Nerd Street Gamers. Thank you to them for helping facilitate some Academy play.
I was going to say really quick, if you want an actual example from both rosters, right?
Yeah.
Of why I like watching this Academy team, if you go to the FlyQuest Academy versus EG Academy Game 2, there is a dive in the bot lane where I believe it is NXI, Triple, and Tomo all in the bot lane diving, and it's like this 3v3 skirmish under EG's tower.
Okay.
And we get out 3-0, and I believe I want to say Contracts, who's like limping away. He's like almost dead. And just NXI and Triple both immediately, like NXI lands the Lee Sin Q, and it's just an instantaneous turn. Boom. And you just see them both dash in. And it's just like, oh my God, the synergy to just like, we're going in, we're taking this, and like, we're getting out, we're fine, even though they were also low health. It was just that kind of decision making on the spot that made me just like, I actually squealed a little bit when I was watching. I was like, oh, yes! And so, like, it's plays like that. And then you want another example of it, you go into the actual FlyQuest match, and you go look at a lot of our fights and our setups, and you'll notice things like Johnson's in the mid lane still, or like while we're like up near Herald, like pandering. I'm blanking on the match right now. I'm sorry. I know I said I had evidence, and I promise that is evidence. If you go hunt it down, you just got to do the research yourself.
I don't think you could make up what you're saying right now, so we're gonna take your word as gold for it. So
yeah. So just honestly, at some point, just go watch the Academy boys. Go cheer them on. Go give them the best wishes, because I think honestly they deserve the world right now.
Give them that support for sure. Man, well, there's a lot going on in LCS. Man, I wish we had Curly here so we could do a little bit of a Curly's LEC corner, because there's a lot of interesting stuff.
It was a wild LEC weekend, right?
It was a wild LEC weekend. G2 looks a little rough right now. They are... Yankos, I think, tweeted something about them being so washed. And woof! You never want to see your jungler tweeting about your team being washed up. That is not a confidence-inspiring... I think Carlos said maybe it's time to bring back Hakuna Matata. So,
whatever works, man.
Hey, whatever works for your team. Well, look, at the end of the day, things might be rough, but I'm always excited to watch some LCS. So be sure to check the boys' game out this weekend. No matter who is starting, we will root for them. We will support them. That is guaranteed. So let's see. The times we got: 7 o'clock versus Cloud9 on Friday, 9 o'clock versus Counterlogic Gaming on Saturday, and to wrap up the weekend, 5 o'clock on Sunday versus Immortals. I don't believe we have anything left. Oh, quick Road Roller just reminded me. Your girlfriend, Nox, no longer first in the FlyQuest Pick'ems. What happened? The big throw. Oh, it's over. The dream is over.
What's funny is she didn't even have a terrible weekend. She went 10-5.
That's what I went this weekend.
Yeah. So no, for her, what killed her was she awkwardly enough had faith in FlyQuest and picked them to go 1-2. So there was one of the losses.
Yeah.
She also had obviously that dig game that upset TSM. That was another one of the losses. And then I think the other one was she had faith in CLG to make a comeback.
Nice.
Oh, and she also had faith in Golden Guardians, but in the wrong game.
Oh, okay.
So
Nice.
yeah, I think she just got her hopes up on certain of the lower ranked teams and bit the bullet on that one.
That's fair. I'm just glad that I'm still top 25, and then I get my my name on the FlyQuest graphic that'll get tweeted out later this week. I'm going to take a quick moment to brag on myself here. In the FlyQuest Fantasy League for LCS that we're doing, I have Danny as my bot laner, and I picked him to play the Tristana this week. So Danny, for me, scored 182 points because of that Tristana pick. So thank you, Danny, for gifting me a huge win. Really, from the bottom of my heart, Danny, if you're watching this, thank you for playing Tristana twice and giving me so many points. Well, I think we're going to wrap up here. I don't think there's much else for us to talk about.
Nah, I think honestly that this felt more like a stream just chatting than it felt like an actual podcast, because I think there's not much to talk about.
That's what you want the show to be, right? Is you're just talking into the void and having a good time and enjoying yourself. So this has been Season 1, Episode 16 of Flight Check. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, sticking around for the whole show, being active in the chat. You can follow us and see all of our man.jpg tweets at Flight Check Crew on Twitter. There is a Discord that just got linked. Thank you, Moobot. Super timely. Join our Flight Check Discord, where you can talk to us. We can discuss the games in a nice, safe location away from anyone else. You can follow myself and Noxwar at the Twitter handles that you see below. You can follow me, Sandy Toes, at SantosDB, and you can follow Noxwar at Noxwar, but with 2 R's. And he's not here, but obviously going to shout him out real fast. Our usual co-host, I don't know why I said co-house. Man, it's time for me to stop.
His house burnt down.
It's time for me to stop talking. That's what's going on. Curly_QQ_. Go give him a follow. Go give Nox a follow. Hey, I'll take a follow as well. Be sure to follow Flight Check Crew. Give the channel a follow. We just hit, big announcement, we just hit affiliate after last week's stream. Absolutely massive. We're going to get subs and emotes, all that kind of stuff set up so that you guys can start gifting us money, and and we will
pay for my new PC.
Yeah, and
please
pay for Nox's new PC. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm going to stop recording the stream here, and then Nox, any quick shout outs you want to say before we wrap up the show?
Shout out to 100 Talk. They're about to go live. Oh god, I'm about to sneeze. Hold on. Where's the mute button?
Where's the mute button? Where's the mute? Oh, we got the mute in there just in time.
Okay, we're good. Sorry.
Just in time, the mute came through.
Shout out to my sleeve for covering the sneeze.
Nice. Perfect. Love that.
Outside of that, no, 100 Talk Pod, give him a shout out. Shout out to Drek for always being an awesome community manager and keeping everyone lively and positive in the Discord.
Yes, sir. For real.
And then obviously just give love to the FlyQuest org in general, because we're beating up on the main roster right now. We're not happy with them, but that doesn't mean that they don't deserve our love either. So go give them support, go shout them out on Twitter, whatever you guys need to do. Don't beat up on them too much, because I don't think it's too much on them. I think there's direction that's needed from outside assistance, outside of just the players.
Absolutely. Yeah, give them all your love and support, likes and retweets on Twitter, all that stuff. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you in Twitch chat for another brilliant weekend of LCS real soon. Thanks, everybody.
Have a good one, guys, and for Curly, peace, y'all.
Peace, y'all. All right, well, the recording's over.